Chairman, respected Honorable Chairman, respected teachers, and my dear colleague, good morning to all. I am Dr. Thomas Shaha from Year 1 Phase A resident. I am here on behalf of our weekly journal club presentation from Pathology Department, BSMU. I welcome you all to the journal club presentation. Our today's topic is propagation of thrombosis by neutrophils and extracellular nucleosome networks. Our presenters are Dr. Nusrat Jahan Farjana and Dr. Falguni, both from Year 1 Phase A. And panelist, Dr. Eshona Pal from Year 2 Phase A, and Dr. Mahabub Alam from Year 3 Phase B. And our resident chairperson is Dr. Ummetunnesa Imita from Year 4 Phase B. This presentation is under supervision of Dr. Sumitra Chakraborty, Assistant Professor, Department of Pathology. Now we will focus on the program schedule. Starting with the main presentation, after the presentation, there will be a question and answer session. The audience are invited to ask nice questions. Then we have short discussion from panelists and the resident chairperson. In the second part of the program, we will have session from our respected chairman, Madam, Professor Dr. Ferdowsi Begum, and from our respected teachers. Now we will proceed to the presentation. I would like to request Dr. Nusrat Farjana to present her part of presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas. Honorable Chairman, respected teachers, and my dear colleagues. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Dr. Nusrat Jahan Farjana, Year 1 Phase A resident, Department of Pathology, BSMU. I welcome you all to our journal club presentation. Our topic is propagation of thrombosis by neutrophil and extracellular nucleosome networks. Neutrophils are the most abundant type of WBC, which is about 50 to 70%. They are predominant cell in acute inflammatory response. They act as primary phagocyte and kill microbes. They are the early mediators of the innate immune defense and are recruited to developing thrombi. As we see under microscope, neutrophils are uniform in shape and our basophilic nucleus has 3 to 5 lobes. Thrombosis is the process of formation of thrombus within the blood vessel. And thrombus can be defined as solid or semi-solid mass formed in the cardiovascular system from the constituent of streaming blood. Neutrophil extracellular trap or NET are increased in the thrombi and patient with various vaso-occlusive pathologies. Neutrophil extracellular traps are extracellular fibrillar networks that provide a high concentration of antimicrobial substances at sites of infection and prevent the spread of microbes by trapping them in the fibrils. NET made of viscous meshwork of nuclear chromatin and granule proteins, that is antimicrobial peptides and enzymes. As we all know, nucleosome is the basic structural repeating unit of chromatin. Helical DNA double strand wind around aptameric histone core nearly twice to make a nucleosome unit. Externalized decondensed nucleosomes and granule proteins support the mechanism of neutrophil-dependent prothrombotic mechanism and together form NET. Here in the figure showing the mechanism of formation of NET. In figure A, neutrophil is stimulated by 4-ball-12 myristic 13 acetate or PMA. Some other stimuli like Aspergillus nidulus. It activates the NADPH oxidase via PKC, that is protein kinase C, and RAF-MEK-ARC pathway. NADPH oxidase consequently generate reactive oxygen species, which in turn activate peptidyl arginine deaminase 4 enzymes, which catalyzes arginine residue of the histone protein to citrulline residues, causes dissociation of histone protein from the DNA backbone, and chromatin become decondensed. Simultaneously, there is disintegration of cytoplasmic azurophilic granules. Myeloperoxidase enzyme binds with the chromatin and activate neutrophil elastase, which degrade actin filament, translocated to the nucleus and cleave the histones, unfold chromatin. there is nuclear envelope broke down via cell cycle proteins and releasing the chromatin in cytosol and mixed with vitamin D. Now here in figure B, there is a mechanism of non-lytic NAT release, which is relatively rapid procedure. Non-lytic NAT formation is induced by toll-like receptor 2, toll-like receptor 4, and complement receptors independent of NADPH oxidase activation. When these receptors are stimulated, they in turn activate PAD4 and neutrophil elastase transmitted to nucleus. Protein-decorated chromatin is expelled via vesicles without disruption of the plasma membrane. By this mechanism, neutrophil remain alive for further mechanism, that is migration and phagocytosis. Extracellular nucleosome enhances blood coagulation and platelet activation. There are mainly three mechanisms. One is interactions between activated platelet and neutrophils can result in activation of the extrinsic pathway of coagulation. Here, neutrophil and platelet release microparticles expresses tissue factor that is trapped by NAT. Neutrophil serine proteases, that is neutrophil elastase, and cathepsin G degrade and inactivate tissue factor pathway inhibitor, both of which bind to NAT and enhance this inactivation. Another mechanism is NAT can promote factor 12 activation and contact pathway of blood coagulation activation. NAT enhance inhibiting tissue plasminogen activator mediated fibrinolysis. Here in the figure showing netosis, a type of cell death. Here activated platelet express high mobility group box protein 1 and P-selectin that binds with the P-selectin ligand of neutrophil, causing releasing of tissue factor and activation of the extrinsic pathway and to be trapped by NAT. Neutrophil serine proteases such as neutrophil elastase and cathepsin G degrade tissue pathway inhibitor. Thus, by neutrophil elastase dependent degradation of endogenous anticoagulant, activation of contact pathway, and inhibition of fibrinolysis support the propagation of blood coagulation. Thank you. The next part will be discussed by the Dr. Falguni Saha.
Thank you, Dr. Nusrat. Honorable Chairman, respected teacher, and my dear colleagues. Assalamu alaikum. Here I am Dr. Falguni, Year 1, Phase A resident, Department of Pathology, BSMMU. Welcome to all to our journal club presentation. Now I will proceed the race part of this presentation. Immunothrombosis describe the active participation of the innate immune system in forming thrombus via distinct cellular and molecular interactions triggered by recognition of pathogen and damaged cell. Physiologic thrombosis that enhance the immune response against pathogenic insults. Polymorphonuclear cell release NET following thrombosis to physically capture and eliminate infections. Beneficial role of immunothrombosis. It helps in the systemic bacterial infection to limit the dissemination. It can act host defense against various RNA virus like respiratory syncytial virus, influenza, dengue, and HIV. It can initiate netosis to capture large pathogens like Candida, which cannot be phagocytes. It has also deleterious effects also. Immunothrombosis has also deleterious effect. Disseminated intravascular coagulation, a serious complication of sepsis, a direct consequence of pathological consequence of immunothrombosis. Tumor cell metastasis, sickle cell disease, and transfusion-related acute lung injury. Here the figure, the role of neutrophil extracellular trap in arterial thrombosis. Arterial thrombosis is a fast process with uniform trigger. Following rupture at the site of the atherosclerotic plaque, disruption of the endothelial cell layer, and exposure of subendothelial matrix. Tissue factor induced platelet adhesion and aggregation of platelet, causing rapid development of arterial thrombosis. Neutrophil extracellular trap is detected in arterial thrombosis, in some cases intake from and some cases it found fragmented from. Role of neutrophil extracellular trap in venous thrombosis. The main trigger for venous thrombosis is immobilization and decrease or stagnant blood flow. The development of deep vein thrombosis is a tight cooperation between platelet, neutrophil, and monocyte, resulting both initiation and propagation of fibrin formation, which is causing further thrombus formation. Neutrophil extracellular trap can damage the endothelium in large vein through cytotoxic potential of histone. Activated factor 12 critically mediated venous thrombosis. It can bind to extracellular chromatin and contribute to the propagation of the intravascular clot formation. Here the figure, the formation of NET mediated thrombosis. There are two types of the NET formation occurs via this process, non-lytic netosis and lytic netosis, which were described earlier. Peptidyl arginine deaminase causes hypercitrullination of histone, which is causing nuclear swelling and chromatin decondensation, followed by release NET containing DNA and histone. Both lytic and non-lytic can cause thrombosis. The negatively charged surface of the NETs promote activation of the intrinsic pathway of coagulation, which starts by the activation of factor 12. Tissue factor or neutrophil extracellular traps activates the extrinsic pathway of the coagulation, which starts by activation of factor 7. Histone activates platelet, which interaction mediated by von Willebrand factor inhibit thrombomodulin, promoting thrombosis. Serine protease released from the neutrophil inhibit tissue factor pathway inhibitor, which in supporting thrombus formation. Concluding remarks. Neutrophil and neutrophil extracellular trap or extracellular nucleosome are the critical promoter of thrombosis under physiological and pathological conditions like myocardial infarction, stroke, etc. This mechanism could be therapeutically targeted for the prevention of thrombosis. Thank you all for your patience.
Thank you, Dr. Nusrat and Dr. Falguni for your nice presentation. Thank you, Dr. Nusrat and Dr. Falguni for your nice presentation. Now we will proceed to the question and answer session. Residents are requested to ask questions directly or through chat box. এখান থেকে কোশ্চেন দেখতে
So, there is a question in the chat box, reporter. Please communicate it to the audience.
Okay, we have a question. What is PAD? Is there any clinical significance?
PAD, that is peptidyl arginine deaminase. It has many isoforms, but only the PAD4 acts on the histone protein. It causes a post-translation modification that is called citrullination. That's convert peptidyl arginine to peptidyl citrulline, causes decondensation of the chromatin. Yes, there is clinical significance of it. If there is increased PAD formation, it is associated with rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, systemic lupus erythematosus, multiple cancers, and some other diseases. Thank you.
We have another question from Dr. Tahmina. How NAT affect lung in COVID-19.
NAT deliver multiple autoantigen to host immune system that induced autoimmune response and directly damage the associated molecule patterns to amplify the inflammatory response. Autoantibody and inflammation promoted by NATs could lead to tissue damage and release new autoantigen, thus creating new targets for autoimmune response and promoting a vicious cycle. Thank you.
Doctor, would you kindly repeat your answer? Doctor, would you kindly repeat your answer slowly?
Ma'am, neutrophil extracellular trap deliver multiple autoantigens to host immune system. The extracellular nucleosome act as autoantigen and present the cell to the antigen presenting cells and directly damage molecular patterns to amplify inflammatory response. Autoantibody and inflammation promoted by NATs could lead to tissue damage and release of new autoantigen, thus creating new targets for autoimmune response, promoting a vicious cycle.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
If there is no other question from the residents, then okay, there is another question.
What are the triggers of NATOC?
Thank you for your questions. In case of the trigger of neutrophil extracellular netosis, in case of the lytic, it is mainly a 4-ball myasthenic acetate, and in case of non-lytic netosis, there are different organisms stimulate this receptor like Staph aureus, Candida, toll-like receptor 2, and E. coli lipopolysaccharide platelet in sepsis stimulate the toll-like receptor 4. Thank you.
We will proceed to the now we will proceed to the panelist session. I would like to call our first panelist, Dr. Eshona Pal, to share her opinion regarding this article.
Thank you, Dr. Tomashaha, for giving me the opportunity to share with you. Honorable Chairman, respected teachers, my dear fellow colleagues. Good morning to you all. At first, I would like to congratulate Dr. Nusrat and Dr. Falguni for their excellent presentation. By this time, we have come to know about the role of neutrophil and extracellular nucleosome networks in thrombosis. Now, I would like to highlight some other roles, especially related to cancer. The production of NAT is considered as an evolutionary process. Any disorder or a dysregulation in this process can cause a large number of diseases. NATs are involved in autoimmune diseases like systemic lupus erythematosus, rheumatoid arthritis, psoriasis, and other non-infectious pathological processes, such as diabetes, atherosclerosis, vasculitis, and cancer. Cancer-associated inflammation can generate intra- and extracellular environments for neutrophil activation and produce reactive oxygen species. Via netosis, it can cause systemic oxygen stress. Interestingly, a close correlation between cancer cell recruitment of neutrophils and NAT formation has been observed in both primary and metastatic tumors. Number of enzymes, receptors, and intracellular mediators and hypoxia are the critical factors in the production of NATs. These factors are responsible for cancer cell adhesion, proliferation, migration, and invasion through NATs. Moreover, Nets can also catch circulating tumor cells and promote metastasis. It has been reported that they can awake the dormant cancer cells, causing tumor relapse also. Here the question comes, how does NET do this? Nets bind the extracellular matrix that provoke laminin cleavage and remodeling with exposition of a new epitope. It awakes the dormant cells proliferation through activation of integrin. Further studies are needed to investigate the potential role of NETs as target of cancer therapy. It is necessary to evaluate the possibility of pharmacological agents interfering NET formation and destruction. So, time has come for further research on regulation of NETosis. Thereafter, clinical trials testing the efficacy of NETs interfering drugs in cancer patients could be designed. Thank you all for patience hearing.
Like to request Dr. Mahbub Alam to present her part.
Assalamu alaikum to all my respected teachers and esteemed colleagues. I am Dr. Mahbub Alam, Phase B Year 3 resident. First, I would like to thank the presenters for such a nice presentation. I would like to emphasize a bit more about the concept of thrombosis and particularly immunothrombosis. Now, whenever we talk about thrombosis, it's generally considered to be a pathological process. And rightly so, because there are many diseases like myocardial infarction, stroke, and deep vein thrombosis, which leads to pulmonary embolism, are all related to the thrombosis. But under some some recent studies have shown that under some circumstances, thrombosis is a physiological process, that it is a part of the innate immunity. Now, immune thrombosis is an innate immune response induced by the formation of thrombi inside the microvessels. Now, immunothrombosis is generated by the normal constituents of acute inflammatory cells and the mediators of thrombosis. And the method by which it gives the immunity is by the it helps to capture the microorganisms that are circulating in the blood vessels and inhibits its propagation. And also, the fibrin produces compartmentalization of the microorganisms and thus allowing the effective killing. And fibrin also induces the additional immune cells site of infection. And in the combat against the pathogen, the intravascular response is restricted to the blood vessels. So there is less damage to the host parenchymal tissues. And it has been shown that the immune thrombosis is not that harmful to the host because most of the vessels that are activated by the immune thrombosis are the microvessels, and the nutrient supply to the organ is not hampered. But as with any physiological process, when there is aberrant or uncontrolled immune thrombosis, it may be detrimental to the host. So in conclusion, as we know that presence of microorganism in the blood vessel is a major threat to the host because circulating pathogen can damage the organs that are crucial for survival. And immune thrombosis presents a mechanism against those intravascular microbes. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ishona and Dr. Mahbub for your nice session. Now, I would like to call Dr. Umaitunnisa Imita to give her short view regarding this article.
Honorable Chairman, Madam, my respected teachers and my dear colleagues, Assalamu alaikum. I am Dr. Umaitunnisa, Phase B, Year 3 resident. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Farjana and Dr. Falguni for their informative presentation. I will discuss the effect of neutrophil extracellular traps on emerging COVID-19 pandemic. In severe case of coronavirus disease, COVID-19, viral pneumonia progressed to respiratory failure. Neutrophil extracellular traps are extracellular waves of chromatin, microbicidal proteins, and oxidant enzymes that are released by neutrophils to contain infections. However, when not properly regulated, neutrophil extracellular traps have the potential to propagate inflammation and microvascular thrombosis, including in the lungs of the patient with acute respiratory distress syndrome. In severe COVID-19, appears to be defined by neutrophilia, as well as elevation in interleukin-1 beta, interleukin-6, and D dimer, the latter suggesting hyperactivity of the coagulation system. All these findings have significant potential for crosstalk with NETs. NETs are linked to interleukin-1 beta in cardiovascular and pulmonary diseases, including venous thrombosis. Bidirectional interplay between NETs and platelet may also be critical for COVID-19 associated microvascular thrombosis. Sera from patients with COVID-19 have elevated level of cell-free DNA, myeloperoxidase enzyme, and cytolynated histone H3. The latter two are specific markers for NETs. Cell-free DNA is strongly correlated with acute phase reactants, including C-reactive protein, D-dimer, and lactate dehydrogenase, as well as absolute neutrophil count. Both cell-free DNA and myeloperoxidase DNA were higher in hospitalized patients receiving mechanical ventilation, as compared with hospitalized patients breathing room air. Patients with COVID-19 have triggered NET release control neutrophils in vitro. Of interest, a small study in China suggested that potential efficacy of adenosine receptor agonist dipyridamole in severe cases of COVID-19 is an FDA-approved drug that can inhibit NET formation. So I think further studies should investigate the predictive power of circulating NETs and determine the extent to which NET may be novel therapeutic targets in severe COVID-19. That's all from my side. And thank you all for your patient hearing.
Thank you, Dr. Imita. Now I would like to proceed to our teacher session. Our respected teachers may ask questions or share their valuable thoughts and guidance with us.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas Shaha, probably you are the reputier for your presentation. Now I'd like to request our teachers if they have any question or comment regarding presentation. Do you have any question or comment? Professor Zillur sir, Nurul Kabir sir, can you hear me? Or Shoumitro?
Yes, madam. Thank you, madam, for chairing this session and giving me the opportunity to talk about this session. And thank you, thanks to the residents for presenting the topic nicely. The presentation was overall satisfactory from my point of view, except for a few problems or issues which I believe is possible to solve in future presentations. Firstly, there are some instances when the slides were just read out by the presenter verbatim, just as written on the screen. So we always discourage this, and we hope, although not all the slides were presented this way, there were a considerable number of figures which the presenters had to describe in their own language, which is commendable. But at the same time, there are some descriptive slides which just had some texts, and the presenters just read it out. So there are both types of slides, but we wish that the latter kind would be discouraged in the presentation. Only key points should be there. And at one of the slides where the figure of the neutrophil was shown, there was a little bit of labeling problem. The caption was histological picture, although it was not a picture of tissue. It's actually peripheral blood film or cytological picture actually. So the labeling was wrong in that slide. And the topic itself is new, although not as much new, because the pathologic basis of disease by Robinson-Cotton's pathologic basis of disease 10th edition has already arrived, and this latest edition already contains some discussion on NETs and its clinical significance. So in this regard, this is within our curriculum, but at the same time points towards the recent advancement of medical sciences, which we all should be updated about, especially the residents. So this was my overall evaluation of the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Soumitra. Is there Dr. Vishnu? Dr. Vishnu, do you want to add something?
Thank you, madam, giving me the opportunity. First of all, I would like to apologize because due to some VIP calls, I could not sum up the portion of this presentation. Even then, in the last presentation, I have criticized the presenter badly, but today I think the presentation improved a lot, especially the panelists, Ashana Paul and Mahbub, presented nicely. So congratulate them. And though I don't concentrate the presentation, that's why I don't comment as much I'd like to. Well, thank you for the topic selection and the way Dr. Soumitra guided us in the molecular level. That's I appreciate Dr. Soumitra also. Day by day, our residents are concentrating in the molecular portion or molecular parts of the as much as they could afford. So thank you for the new dimension in our presentation. Okay, thanks a lot. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Vishnu, because you have just told that you have criticized badly in the last session, and your criticism is actually very nice because in this session, the presenter, they have very much simplified, they have presented, especially Dr. Presenter, that is the Nusrat and Dr. Falguni, they have presented the presentation according to your and Dr. Nurul Kabir sir's advice. They have presented with the very simple thing, that is what is neutrophil, what is thrombosis, what is inflammation, that I very much like. Dr. Kabir, do you have any question or comment?
Yes, it is topics is timely presented, and it is our part of choice, and it is completed also the COVID situation, and I think presentation is more or less good, and Dr. Soumitra have discussed some difficulties or deficit, and next time it will be covered, and thanks to the all for their presentation and good presentation. Thanks to the all.
Now I would like to thank presenter again, and because especially the resident chairperson, she has added the COVID-19, correlation of COVID-19 with inflammation and thrombosis and how the pathogenesis of COVID occurs. For this, I give a special thanks to Dr. Imita. And of course, thanks to Dr. Soumitra for guiding them. And I want to repeat something that you already know, that you have nicely described the relationship between the inflammation and the thrombosis under normal physiological condition and under pathological condition. And the newer thing, that is not the newer, that is also written in the Robbins pathology about the not only the neutrophil, which is the most important cell of the innate immunity, and the first cell that arrived during infection or due to any inflammation, the site of inflammation, it has arrived that area by chemoctasis, and that phagocytes the invading agent. Not only that, they produce the interesting thing that is nets that you have discussed very nicely, which actually not only prevent the spread of microorganism, but also it is involved in the formation of thrombosis in the microvasculature, arterial and venous thrombus that you have nicely described. And the presenter, they have also highlighted the relationship of these thrombosis with cancer cells, and by knowing the pathogenesis, it is not the understanding of the disease process, how it produces the sign and symptom. The treatment also actually depends, and treatment actually discovered by understanding this pathogenesis, in which level clinician will treat the patient by which agent. And this is another point, that by measuring these net associated things, we can assume the sepsis and inflammation, and we can treat also patient. Okay, Dr. Soumitro, I think your choice is very nice. And that is, you have, as their first year student, you have selected the topic related to acute inflammation and the thrombosis. That is also nice. Thank you again. Thank you everybody for being here with us. I want to conclude this session. Okay.